Welcome to Chesscape. Today I'm going to do a little bit a different format. It's going to be me playing live, online, blitz games, 5 minutes per players, and I'm going to try to employ everything we learned until now, especially playing the Trompowsky, which is the last video, so you can see how I adapt to the IDs, how I adapt to the way he plays, and just the thought process really. So let's get to it. Let's start the game. All right, so the game, let's start with d4. I hope, okay, so now we're going to play the semi-Trompowsky. And look, he cannot play his normal Queen's Indian by playing e6. He's playing the normal move, playing h4, h6 here. It's fine, also with c6. Now this, I believe, is a mistake because I can simply take and I damage actually his pawn structure and I play normal chess. Now my plan, and I showed it in the last video, is to play with c4 here. One day to play g3, bishop g2, and I'm gonna do everything I can to win this pawn. Unless obviously he exchange it. So it's a different story, but then I have my bishop here, the queen comes on b3, for instance, and I have a great diagonal on the f7 square. Here, I think taking is fine. If he takes with the queen, I win a tempo by playing knight c3, attacking actually the queen. I think he's going to play this move, or as you can see here, he's losing a tempo. And now you can play with g3, you can play bishop d3, you can play knight f3, there are a lot of moves. I'm going to decide to play this, because I want to put my bishop on g2, and I want to put pressure one day to play this kind of plan. All right, I got there in the end. So let's play knight e2 here to defend and to take with the knight in case he decides to actually give the bishop pair, and continue our plan. As you can see here, the structure is extremely solid. I'm going to play bishop g2 and it's perfectly fine for white, and I'm going to be playing castle. And one day I'm going to start pushing these pawns and try to weaken the pawn structure. So first we castle, we put the king safe first, and after we think about this kind of plans. So now let's start with a3. Okay, so he comes here, which I don't think does much, because obviously, I mean, that's a pin, but it doesn't really matter. And we can continue our plan. Our plan here is going to be to attack this. This bishop is extremely strong here. And not sure what he wants by playing this move. Maybe he wants to actually play knight d5. That's possible. Now we have different things. I mean, we can play knight e4, for instance, like a plan like knight e4, knight c5 is not bad, but I think he's going to trade at some point the knight. We can play something like rook b1, or we can go slow with something like queen b3 as well, and then we're not pinned. I think I like this plan, because, you know, it allows us to have one more control over this. Okay, so he just moved 3 times this, right? And now we just come back on c2, and look what happens. He cannot come back on f5 anymore. So maybe he's going to play a move like g6 and then to play bishop f5. That's possible, but it doesn't really bother me because I have e4. Okay, so I have the feeling he doesn't know exactly how he wants to play this. So we're going to continue to expand on the queen side. And then what we're going to do, the rook will come here, this one here or here. Okay. So now he's basically targeting this. We continue to push. I don't see any other way of playing here. I mean, I think that's fine. And yeah, what do we think about this position? It feels like he wants to exchange pieces, but I have other plans. I think going on c5, I want to take this bishop, because if I manage to actually trade this bishop, then his light squares become extremely weak. So this is what I want to do. And now look, his bishop on a5 doesn't do much. Okay, interesting. I played h3. Yeah, g4. It's actually extremely hard to speak and play at the same time. I find it like quite hard. Now we cannot move this pawn because obviously knight take e3, so we have to be careful about this. And we're just going to get rid of actually this pin by playing maybe queen b3. I think it's fine because this is defended by the bishop, right? And one day maybe we play with knight g3. I think here he's going to try to have a semi like sort of attack, I think, on the king, but I mean, I like the fact that he brought the knight on d5. I mean, it's causing a lot of concern over my e3 pawn, which means I cannot play a move like f4, for instance. That's not bad. So now we have to make a decision in the center, maybe to play e4, I don't know. But then I don't like that it's yeah, I'm just going to play this and prepare it. My idea is to play e4, d5, because I don't like to weaken actually the d4 pawn when I'm pushing on e4. Let's see what he does. But yeah, I think now we don't have too many issues in the position, because the king actually is pretty safe. And if I had a plan, it's just basically putting pressure on c6. So my next move is going to be rook c1 here. So this is exactly what I'm going to do. Maybe he wants to play a move like f5 to actually weaken the position. Okay, he decides to take, opening the c file. Now we have a grab over this, so he has to be careful about this. Also, the f7 square one day could come in play. I like white's position here. I like the fact, so we have the center, we have the c file. The bishop is good, better than this bishop for sure. The knight here is guarding very important squares on f5 and h5. I like it as well. And now I think I'm ready to play this kind of moves. And also, you know, f4. He's being pretty passive here in the position with his pieces like, yeah, okay, I was going to say on the back rank. So how do we continue here? Is it crazy to play a move like f4 here? I don't think so. I think f4 is pretty normal here. And the king is not really in trouble, so the idea was to just kill this one. I mean, this one could be a pawn, it would be exactly the same thing, right? After he's on h7. And now we need to continue and find a way to play this position, but let's see how this goes. But the e4 pawn is never a target. He can never attack it. This one is out of play. So maybe d4 now. Now that we played like this, maybe d4 is actually a weakness. It's possible here. Yeah, he's definitely playing extremely passive here. I mean, if we exchange pieces, I think the endgame is extremely good for us, right? So maybe we should exchange actually just pieces. And it's true that it's hard for him to actually find a plan here. So let's go for it. I just want to test his endgames. And I like the fact that we have the c file. We will come on c7 and try to put pressure, one day pushing these pawns. And this one is out of play, which is a big factor here. Because I can play rook c7 now. And I'm going to start rerouting actually the knight, maybe this way as well. So let's go. This knight, I mean, that's the best way when you're in a position like this, is to simply take your time and just increase, like put your pieces on better squares, really. That's the idea of it. Now he's trying to do everything he can to make this one, you know, have a future again, but it doesn't work this way. Now he's blundering a pawn, as you can see. Having this structure against this bishop is extremely painful. So, and now he's losing material. So now it's a fork. There is also a fork here between this. So yeah, he played this move that is not good. So now he's blundering actually a rook, because if he takes, I take the knight, right? So yeah. I think that's the end of the game. We just usually like this, what you have to do is just bring your pieces and try to either mate him or finish the game fast. And the best way is to actually bring all your pieces in the game. So let's check him. So when he comes here, we take, we check, or now we're targeting actually checkmate in one move. And now let's play like this and this, so we can play this move with a checkmate that I think is... yeah, they cannot actually avoid it. So that was to show you a little bit, guys. I will actually review this game and analyze it in another video. But just to show you the semi-Trompowsky, and you see when they're not ready to actually play an opening, how they start making mistakes. Like here, for instance, when they played knight f6, it's an immediate mistake, because now look at this. He has a problem with his structure, and look, in the game, this is exactly the reason why he lost, with his bishop here, and we had the pawn structure here, and we killed it. So, yeah, that's the reason why I wanted you to know that Trompowsky had amazing results with it. And yeah, they're not ready to play it, so you're ready. You watched a lot of games, etc. And also you can force them. There is no King's Indian, there is no Nimzo Indian, for instance. And you can just, you know, force them to play the opening where they're not ready to play. You don't have time to actually study, so you study an opening that works pretty much all the time, unless they play this move, right? I mean, if they go like, for instance, e6 here, then obviously you're not playing bishop g5. And let me tell you another thing as well, is that after d4, sometimes you want to play the London system, you know, and you mouse slip. Instead of playing bishop f4, you go on g5, for instance, here, and you want to play bishop f4, and you play bishop g5. So now at least you know how to play, even when you mouse slip by playing online. All right, I hope you liked it, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.